Hello, I would like to present a research that is going on in our group on two-dimensional convolutional neural networks on FPGA for high-resolution TPC images. So first of all, what are TPCs? TPCs are a type of particle detector that are significant for neutrino physics, most notably the liquid argon time projection chambers, which are basically giant cubes filled with liquid argon that have an anode cathode plane that creates an electrical field that causes tracks of charged particles that can be produced, for example, by neutrinos to drifts towards sensing wires. So these sensing wires are differently oriented and can be used to reconstruct the original tracks. There are several current experiments running, such for example as micro-DUNE or the DUNE prototype detector. There are experiments being built or proposed. Our current use case is the DUNE FAR detector, which is a huge 70 kiloton detector that is to be built in South Dakota. The DUNE FAR detector consists of 4 modules with both horizontal drift and vertical drift to look at beam particles and atmospheric particles that each consist of up to 200 cells or drift regions, as indicated on the picture, and 150 APAs. Each APA can read up to 560 channels, including 2 × 480 collection channels. So what is really challenging, as you might see in this picture, is to distinguish low energy events such as a supernova burst that occurs maybe every 30 years from noise. And because these events are so rare, we require practically 100% efficiency rate. And we can, because such a large amount of data is produced and would have to be read out, we can only go for a maximum of 1 false positive event per month in the case of the supernova burst. So the question we have asked ourselves is, can we use the CNN as a data selection algorithm? So let's go answer this question. First, the DUNE input data consists of many wires, many samples, 480 wires, 4,488 samples that create a 11.5 gigabit per second data stream, which is a fairly high amount. The front-end electronics that we use to read out the data are so-called Felix boards, which are dedicated data acquisition boards for particle physics that employ a Xilinx Kintex ultra-scale FPGA. However, for our present demonstration purposes, we use a Xilinx Alveo U250 acceleration card that has an FPGA that is similar, approximately double of the resources that are used for Felix. So let's say we get this input image of 480 × 4,488. It is too large to handle in the CNN on the FPGA. So the first step we do is downsize it to 64 pixels. Question we ask ourselves is, which algorithms do we use to downsize the image? And we come up with multiple solutions. For example, denoising, identify the region of interest and crop around interest. However, we saw that on FPGA, it takes a fairly long time, almost half a second. So what we also considered was denoising cropping around maximum. So just look at the maximum pixel, which is a very quick algorithm, but not very accurate. We would lose a lot of significant information. So the solution we are going for is to denoise the image and then sum the pixels together in the sense, which is very similar to shrink it and average it, except for we are missing the division part because summing is much easier to implement on FPGAs than divisions, since divisions use a lot of valuable resources that we want to use otherwise. So this solution we had a fairly small latency that still can be further optimized, and very reasonable research usage. So we evaluated and emulated the CNN that we had using the HLS4ML framework. We applied fixed point quantization, and indeed we got quite good, very good accuracy results with no significant drop for quantization in the one CNN that we chose. We also showed the exact setup, but I won't go into details for this short introduction. The implementation of the CNN is that we have a quite low latency of 27 microseconds, which is very low compared to the pre-processing part. And we have the resource usage that is also very reasonable. It doesn't take a lot of resources when we look at flops and lookup tables, and looking at the DSPs, we can figure that we can fit 2 CNNs in parallel probably onto the FPGA. But right now we just implemented one FPGA kernel, one CNN. So to come to a conclusion, if we go back to the question, can we use CNN for data selection? Yes, we can. If you look at the physics, yes, we can. If you look at the FPGA. And so then from this point, the next step would be to merge the different parts that exist now as separate designs, the pre-processing parts, the CNN parts together, have them work with actual data from the DUNE prototype, and then transfer the implementation on the longer term on these field exports that will be put direct underground at the DUNE experiments. Thank you very much.